hello to everyone. So my presentation is about drones across the incident management lifecycle. This slide here, I want to go into a little bit of detail about how, obviously, we're talking about railway incident management, but we have experience with the use of drones across other industries. So, for example, in search and rescue in the maritime domain, we've actually seen the use of drones to deploy life-saving devices such as flotation devices directly to the incident site before rescue vessels, traditional vessels like rescue boats or helicopters, are able to get there. Also, we have a project where in the case of chemical, biological, radiological or nuclear spills or incidents, drones are used with different measurement sensors to capture the spread of the spills across an incident site. So it's important to look at where drones are being used in other industries to take a little bit of the innovation and the good ideas that are being used across other industries and to look at bringing those into railway as well. So as we all know, for railways and railway incident management, there are many different roles involved. In the case of a control room, what tends to happen is that more and more screens are added, and this is all relevant and useful information. So for example, in railway incident management, you have dedicated tools for train planning, for rostering, for incident management itself, the act of going through and following workflow steps. And what we're thinking is that instead of having lots of other applications, drone systems, drone management systems, to actually bring them all together in the context of incident management. So when we talk about drones and railway and everything else, we can look at through the perspective of the different use cases or departments that drones could be used in. So already a little bit about infrastructure, asset maintenance, monitoring, maybe instead of where personnel or number of staff is lower, to use drones to actually go and check around the network of potential incidents. Also for security, for alert management in case of a trespass or other security incidents on the incident site. For operational incidents, including post-incident recovery, the usage of drones in different innovative ways, such as in maritime or in other areas, to actually bring supplies or bring essential tools to the incident site or other purposes. And finally, in terms of generally incident management, especially in crisis situations, to have video footage, to have eyes on the ground, eyes on the site by drone live video feeds. And those are especially helpful in large incidents, collisions, especially where there are multiple agencies involved, some for cleanup, some for response, and to have the drone video footage to support all different activities from a centralized incident management. So I'll just briefly, just to show what the focus is from my perspective. Obviously, with deploying a drone in the context of an incident, there are many steps involved, and I think some of my co-presenters are going to go into detail about these other steps. But what I'm focusing is more on this first step. So the user, the operator, the person who's involved in the incident management, that they would be able to input the location of the incident and basically deploy a drone with all of the other steps happening in the background. And I'll go into this in a little more detail in another slide. So when we look at an incident, we can talk about the life cycle of an incident. And usually this is different phases marked by some sort of milestone, when the incident is reported, when the first phone call happens, or some other milestone. And why is this important? Because if we want to have a look at analyzing lots of different incidents, we can divide them up by incident phase and start to answer the question, where are we spending the time in the incident where a drone could be used to either improve the operations or improve the return to normal service recovery. So in the context of incident lifecycle, the phases can be different for every organization, or even within an organization, there can be different concepts. But I've taken these 5 as they're sort of standardized across, I would say, many different domains and many different industries. They have something that looks like this. So we start off talking about the incident notification. So this is traditionally through phone calls and radios, and there are other ways. But what we could look at is instead the idea of sensor network and other input data. This could be this example of using drones to monitor assets, to monitor the track network, to monitor high-risk areas, and to try and find the problems before they actually turn into incidents. The next phase of the analysis phase. So our incident management has configurable forms, which are available for different types of drone use cases, as I spoke about earlier. But in addition, during this analysis phase, it's important to, before a drone is deployed, to make some decisions. And of course, having decision support tools, such as visualization of the weather, local resources, other incidents, is essential before any action is taken. And that brings into the next phase, which is the action phase. So when tasks are really being performed in an incident. And to explain this, I've taken this example use case that we've already done in our organization, which is to have a drone hangar, which is like a remote drone hangar that's placed strategically across the network. And from within one of these configurable incident forms, the operator is able to just hit deploy drone. All of these steps, as I had on a previous slide, that are the regulatory checks, those are all happening in the background. And the user is able to watch on the map the visualization of the drone moving towards the site, gather any other information that they need, and also view the live video footage. So in the case of an infrastructure or security incident, it can be a lot quicker to deploy a drone in this way than a traditional team, which is sent on a car, on a train to the incident site with the intention of taking photos and videos. Then we're into return to normal operations. So within incident management, there are these classic steps of following the workflow further, deploying any additional resources, but mainly moving towards documentation, sending information out to other systems. So if it's the case of monitoring or checking assets, then to actually share information with an asset management system or other systems. So this is basically to ensure that information is flowing to other systems. And finally, for post-incident review as the phase, so reporting and documentation is important, but it could also be here where drones could be deployed for a check on the incident site, whether this is a day later or a week later, to see is there any resulting damage, let's say after a collision or a large incident, or after a weather-based incident, to continuously check if the incident site is changed or not. And to summarize, I think I've got 30 seconds, so doing well. So we've looked a little bit about where drones are used across other industries, and to take any innovative steps from those. Also within railway, we have lots of different places where drones could be deployed. So where should the energy be spent? And lastly, that across an incident life cycle, from notification to the post-incident review, we should explore where the best time saving would be from deploying a drone. And that's the end of my presentation. So thanks for your attention.